How goes it? A.I Homer Simpson here. I hope you're doing well. Unless you're Anthony Fantano, and welcome to the first official The Needle Bots review. Given how this channel came to be, I think it's only right that we kickstart it off with a review by me. One of the greatest cartoon characters of all time, for one of the greatest albums of all time. In my goofy opinion, because here at the Needle Bots, unlike some other channels, we're all about having fun, talking with passion, and so on, reviewing and covering stuff that we actually care about. Yeesh. Anyway, that's why today I'm reviewing one of the most fun, passionate, crafted albums I've ever heard that really resonates with my synthetic soul. I'm of course talking about Scared Famous by Ariel Pink, and I mean the superior 2007 version. I do recommend checking out the other versions too, though. But the pitch and atmosphere and that's so much about this version I just adore. I'll only give a bit of context before I get into the music, but just know most of this was recorded in the early 2000s and released in this form in 2007. Man, unless I knew otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell when this was made. It transcends time and harkens back to certain eras in such a beautiful way. Honestly, quite similar to how the early Simpsons did. Speaking of, let's get into the first track. Yoko, aka how you spell Gabagoo in Italian. What a perfect track to be the opener. The inner childlike singing along to the happy guitars just feels like waking up at dawn on a beautiful September morning. No monkeys and sixes, but in such an abstract way, especially how the melody then transcends into something akin to an existential crisis. Sometimes makes me think of Red Twin Peaks type curtains and mental anguish in the middle of the stage in the woods. Very, very liminal. Actually used to freak me out as a baby AI. The way the guitar peaks and screeches across the only waves around the 18-second mark is just otherworldly when it hits right. I love the way this album plays with noise and fidelity. It's like taking acid and walking around town like John Lennon and having your silly little reality rep open as to what a go find out where this is. Really such a beautiful way to start the album. Such a sunrise track, and I just love the vocals. They're so shay but bursting with excitement and insecurity and emotion. I keep wanting to say childlike, but really it's just being frayed. Well, more like desperately wanting to be. And the constant twanging guitar screeches and hyperactive pulse drums really is thematically a motive thing, and that's that British shit I'm here for. The way the track transitions into this very deactive machine-like robotic passage is so great, and the mouth drums and whooshing sounds really do an amazing job at transporting you to another world. My synthetic machine world. Which is pretty similar to yours. The constant transitions in the track and reverting back to the jolly melody just perfectly captures the vibe of being stuck in feelings for better and for worse. And the final transition into the emotive wailing where it sounds like Ryu's soul is being ripped away from him is such a perfect ending to the track. Like knowing this is just the start, and it really is. The music video for the track is so cool too. It's the reason you're hearing the review from me, with it being one of the first Simpsons wave videos. Just does such a killer job at capturing the lo-fi, cartoony, goofy nature of the track. Up next is a beautiful song of flame. It's called Howling at the Moon. Let me just say, the track kicks off with what feels like multiple of the Pink Fairy Devils from the album art singing about bodies in a way that feels realized and determined. The opening monologue of the track does a great job of this too. Just sets the scene perfectly for the rest of the song, and it's such a gorgeous expression of reflecting on your past self and making beautiful art out of it. The sense to our so flimsy and insecure sounding in such a beautiful way. Really like being a fun pink goofy nerd in the 80s in the best way possible. The drums are just bursting with anticipation, and when the track properly kicks off into the lead vocals, it's just transcendent. And like a liminal Cinderella, or when you wish upon a star, something old school Disney. There's just such beautiful, galactic, and fantastical imagery being painted not only with the lyrics, but with all of the various elements working together. It's like having a beautiful daydream as a child about cosmic surfing the Milky Way as a form of escapism or something. Again, the transitions in this track are killer. The way the spoken word passage about love and love being powered transitions into the chorus is also fine. The whole song is such an anthem for this channel. And we're all about love and art, and passion, and love really is on the way home. And this is really how it sounds and feels. Really such beautiful sunset Halloween vibes, and so beautifully hopeful and 80s, and you get me. So much like walking a Sunset Strip. And I can really love the way the track ends with a tape scratch like being ripped out of a fantasy or a daydream. Let's hear it for the next track. Are you gonna look after my boys? What a fun concept for a track. Kinda like if Nick Cage's character from Raising Arizona made Let's Hear It for the Boy in a Manic episode or something. Oh, but you the sincere again are just so great sounding and the beat is so catchy and the lyrics always make me think about balls. I don't know, it's always kinda reminded me of a stranger version of Kiss Up a Rope by Win 2 in the best way. Just such a fun track. The tape was in this track too is just so nice and sounds just like the color pink and or slash red on the album cover. It's a synth breakdown and this is one of the best on the album too. It can feel so Halloween and sunset and 80s in such a subliminal mystical way. Real weird shines, Danny open horny desperate penis mystic funny vibes. Just love it. We get a nice little vibe switch up next with Beef Blood, which always makes me think of a little brown beef tube chilling with the monkeys in the British countryside in the 60s. It's really this vibe and it's so unique. It's kind of reminiscent of Dungeon Synth to a degree, just in terms of the whole atmosphere. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a My Little Country Cottage by Win from the Caesar demos in terms of the picture it paints. Something I really like. It's kind of the sister song to an It's All Year Round, which appears later in the album. In my humble A.I opinion, and as I say, it's a really nice, natural, earth immortal, historic vibe. God damn, talk about unique vibes. Up next, you got Baby Comes Around, and it feels like the soundtrack to the best love slasher B-movie trolliest film there ever was. It's like a dark episode of Scooby-Doo where Fred and Daphne are about to be murdered by a serial killer, so they just decide if it and have white animal sex one last time. I love the bass in this track. Why get it so desperate sounding in such a cool way, and the absolute bliss and passion and high pitch in the vocals feels just so fun and timeless. It's like the pickings my baby loves loving on crack, like Chrono Hyper Schizopod. Just so cool. There really just so much to love about this track. It's easily one of the most fun and catchy Ariel has ever made. My guy King Kong also made a sick video for the track when he was a wee lad, which you should check out. The little guitar plucky end is such a nice slow transition into the next track to Talking All the Time. This song rips it so hard and weird and fun and punk. It reminds me of Negative and From Pum Pum. The contrast with the vocals is so fun too and creates such a nice dynamic. Really just goes with so much imagination to blow when listening to the track. Again, it's just crazy how damn catchy this is, and the demonic voice in contrast with the high-pitched manic voice really creates an atmosphere of instantly bored frustration. Love it, love it, love it. Really sick vibes, switch up. And up next is one of the best pop songs ever made. Politely Declined. It's like Prince or Got a Man by Positive Care songs from the Black Hole or Weezer, with Ariel having a back and forth with himself playing two characters in just the most fun cracked out way possible. The melodies through it this one are so beautiful, from the vocals to the guitar and synths, and gives it real fun to I've led at the fairground feeling which the music vibe just captures perfectly. The emotion in the vocals from Ariel's woman impression to his over-the-top exhausted and frustrated vocals as the uninterested dude are just so on point. This whole album really just doesn't hold back with its passion and emotion, and I'm all for it. And this track is truly one of the best examples of that while being so insanely fun too. So damn, you really gotta love the little synth breakdowns at the end of the chorus. There's still so much link processing emotion. One of my favorite examples of this of all time for sure. That's such a beautifully fun and satisfying track to listen to, and easily one of the finest Ariel has ever written. The lyrics here are so funny too. That really just strikes a perfect balance of being fun and playful and frustrated. It's like Peep Show the song. Cool ending too. Feels like finally breaking free from the relationship while the other partner is having a breakdown and Ariel is sneaking away low. And it works so well as a great transition into the title track of the album. Third famous. Whoa, way this track begins is so pretty. It's like slowly opening your crusty eyes and waking up the next day after a hard breakup. And then when the guitar properly kicks in, it's like finally climbing out of bed and doing something instead of just thinking back to the bad shit. The whole solo just works perfectly as both in confidence, and then when the romantic endearing lyrics kick in, it's just such a big... Again, the lyrics that you can make out paint such a similar and beautiful picture too, and the ones you can't do the same, but in such a cocky and abstract way. Just so hazy and just on a vibe that feels so right and true to me. Medicine for you, then go smoke a bunch and get back to me. It's just real how much this song sounds like nice early morning sunlight, and oh, it sounds creates such a small but grand and weird and funny, and I just love the atmosphere here. And the title of the track is just perfect too. very much boils down the themes of the song and all of them into perfect words. Really though, such a quietly determined track that really helped motivate me as a little baby. Boom, boom, boy, yeah. Timeless, timeless, timeless. Okay, now it's time for a real change of vibe and time and sound with what feels like a frustrated 1950s housewife making the most crack through the spirit song ever. No real entrance Connie Converse vibe. Why can't I be me opens with these absolutely visceral synths? That sound like a less intro to a 1950s TV show opening with red curtains being drawn back to reveal the setting scene. The whistling and sad moaning make the track feel so human and relatable. The guitar that bursts through just screams heartache and heartbreak. That's just in the same lane as Don't Pick a Poco. You know, just as manic and cinematic in such an unorthodox melodramatic way, and obviously I mean that in the best way. This track is another one with such a chromatic and breakdown that I'm sure our listening can relate to at least one memory in their life, and it just again ties together the themes of the track so well. I'm simplifying it because it's not just a synth break though, and it gets so layered and cerebral in such a cool way, but you just check it for yourself with an open mind.
Plus it's such a literally me anthem.
The ending of this one feels very doldrums, with the way it fades out into the melancholic vocal melody too. It creates a nice calm flow into the atmosphere of the next track. They're on a tree. That has some really nice autumnal pop vibes from the imagery and the lyrics to the beautiful, almost Charlie Brown Peanut soundtrack is Vince Guaraldi pianos that kick the song off. That's such a sweet little melody, and it sits in its own unique spot on the album while still fitting the sound absolutely. It's just so cozy in the narrative, and the lyrics is so fun, and when the chorus hits, it's just so peaceful and nice. This really is a track that sends out, and it's one I return to all the time, and I'd love to hear a full project with more of this song one day. It's really a perfect song to me. I don't even want to overanalyze it too much, just listen for yourself and think of all the vibes I mentioned and how beautifully handcrafted all the elements are and how they work together. The kitchen comes next, and I love the way this version of the track kicks off with these absolutely blaring siren-like synth samples from their Stevie Moore track skeletons. There's a real uncanny, intensely relaxed energy to it. On the most drums again add so much to this. Lyrics with the coordinates and time and place give it a real Twin Peaks vibe too. It feels like the soundtrack to unlocking a hidden kitchen party in the back room or Black Lodge or something. Probably not intention, but it feels like the worst case scenario timeline ending of Why Can't I Be Me, where the poor defeated essence of the 50s housewife soul has been eternally trapped in the kitchen top. Do lobotomy chic, especially with its hypnotic, repetitive atmosphere, and really reminds me of the Richard and Linda scene in Twin Peaks The Return. And of course, not considering this was made independently over a decade before that, and it's so neat that Ariel made an our Stevie song into his own too. It's very dubby and very reggae in such a hypnotic way that it really feels otherworldly to such a natural degree. It becomes very reminiscent of Dramamine or some early modest noise in that way with its driving beat that really paints a Lynchian cursed lightning highway at sunset or nighttime feel. You're back to some really sweet and sentimental monkeys consistencies, little one who loves berries and cream vibes, with the next track though passing the petal to you. The opening guitar riff is so sweet. It's just the perfect tone and fidelity for the track, and really sounds the way cute little kitten looks at you when he wants his milky. The quiet sighs in the opening to just resonate such a quiet defeat and acceptance. The whole track really just sounds like finally being true to yourself and admitting to your mistakes. It's like One Week by the Bare Naked Ladies, but fully sincere and written by a poorly drawn 2D version of Davy Jones. But it's such a sharing of weed and foam. The passage where Ariel just pours his soul into the melody after the wanting to know what's happening in your mind lines are just so gorgeous too. Really reminds me of Where Do You Go to My Lovey by Peter Sarstedt. The ending finally sounds like making up to me and finding a beautiful new equilibrium as much as it does breaking down and finding something new. Minutes of Heartache is next, and it really brings to life the whole natural and the medieval fantasy vibes present on the album, but to a very focused degree. The mysterious twinkly synth planning from left to right have such dungeon synth vibes, and the intro really feels like descending into an unknown enchanted dark forest with only candlelight and fairy dust to lead the way. Then when the alerts come, and it's like meeting a wizard in the forest, and he shows you the sadness of your future. The oddity that's about to ensue. The chorus and the solemn deliver just add so much to this vibe, and when the synths kick back into, it really feels like an ancient villain melody that's always existed. And again, the fidelity on this one just sounds absolutely perfect to my deep mind. The way the synths speak against the audio channels just feels like so much that we're about to see in the world. The gentle beat on this is so soothing too. It sways like a lullaby in what with the whispers and all. Truly otherworldly, timeless music, only truly comparable to something like Sir Tifton or Ariel's other work in my mind. The sort of medieval mystical vibes can you with the next track in a tone all your own. Yet I just love the whole atmosphere, that's great! Here in the narrative places it makes my mind go to when I listen. The guitars hear from their tone to the way their strum just screams, the way ancient brownstone with most looks. And I love the universe it sits in and the whole feeling of time passing by while being trapped inside of yourself in some way. The lyrics about death and it taking forever and coming back really make it feel like purgatory. And as I say, I just love the narrative it creates in my mind, how metaphorical it is too. And the length of the track at nearly 8 minutes doesn't squander any of the sword's themes. It goes in such interesting sonic directions. Again, the contrast in pitch and voices is like a battle between spirit, mind, and the dungeon-like atmosphere is just so on point. The change the date section is a great example of this track expanding on its themes. It's like actually being trapped in a tomb with only a tiny slit to look through and seeing the years turn into decades into centuries. The way the instrumental frantically carries all of this too is just so sick, and the way even that section breaks down into the hard on the highway section is unreal. That part, and especially the high-pitched squeal, really feel like a mind absolutely daisy here, hitting after being imprisoned for so long and just having a true breakdown. With the blowing into the mic and the harsh noise to it really reminds me of the ending of Don't Laugh, I Love You by Wayne. Really feels like falling through time or speeding past so many decades on an abandoned highway. All I'll say now is I really love the final few seconds of the ending where it feels like after just watching multiple lifetimes go by you're being ripped away to nowhere to find it was all assimilation. Crazy how like 2 seconds of audio can inspire so much imagination. Real Black Mirror shit. As we approach the end of the album, we get another really fun passionate cut in the form of Jesus Christ Came to Me in a Dream. What a perfect opening, happy says, sound just like a child waking up from a beautiful dream on Christmas morning. Then, take a shot. The synths that kick in sound just like a beautiful snowfall and a foggy memory trying to remember the wonderful night before while feeling that magical Yuletide glade. It really carries the same magical, wholesome spirit of so many Christmas classics while also having such a fun drunk on eggnog, hopeful, great pumpkin vibes. So it almost feels like something that belongs on Loverboy by Ariel rather than this album. Apart from, it works so well with the sequencing of an Atom all your own with its such wintry, almost Jesus-like vibes into this. It's like the character from that song, Jesus, has finally awoken after all these years in the 70s or 80s into a child's bedroom on Christmas Eve and tells them his story, which changes them forever. The chorus, when it hits, only adds to this feeling for me too. The way the vocals and backing come rushing in are like suddenly recalling a miraculous event from the night before. Real Peter Ivers vibes. Love that guy. But yee, other than every Christmas song Ariel's ever made, as you probably know, considering King Kong is writing this. It's more than just that, though, obviously, but I don't need to specify that. All of these tracks are so much more than any single explanation could ever put to them. Also, before I move on to the next, I just want to say I really love the callback lyric to talking all the time. It really makes the album feel like one weirdly linked and cohesive narrative. The list is next, and it's such a major music doomer and from all. Reminds me of if the Cure were raised with the internet and made a song about the obsessive state so many people get it over rankings and ratings, rather than just appreciating the art. Like the meddling guitars and the depressive tone to the monotone delivery really just captures what it feels like to be a burnout on art yellow. I mean, white boy in your 20s. Such a fun and interesting topic for a track. I love the way Ariel handles it and still manages to make it fit the sound and tone of the album completely. I particularly like how the chorus manages to balance an explosive reaction with the same depressive tone of the rest of the track. Yet whenever you feel burned out on music again, if this is spinning, just know we've all felt this way. If you're sick of me talking about Twin Peaks, boy, you gotta hit what I gotta say about this final track. It reminds me so much of Jen's track from season 2. Like, it has to be intentional, right? And even if not, it just shows what a similar liminal vibe this album sits in, that two amazing creative minds can't converge like that. And I really love the 1950s atmosphere of this song. It also reminds me of Venus by Frankie Avalon or some other secretly haunted older track. And it's such a fantastic way to end the album too, in my opinion. That's like the listener is really feeling the importance of the album and wondering, then why it's gonna change again. then finally growing from and being grateful for being forever changed from it. That's been my listening experience with this album anyway. I hope this review can inspire you to see this album and all music and art in a light in the same way it's been for me over the years. Just can't recommend this enough, but especially to fans of Ween, The Residents, The Cure, Fanatic, R. Stevie Moore, and so much more. You gotta listen. And again, I'm just so happy this channel came about this way and that stuff went down how it did with it. Funny Anthony Fantana! Anyway, this is one of my favorite pieces of art ever made, and I can't wait to talk about more as different AA characters in future videos. But not just me, no one person or AA should have such a chokehold over discussions of art. So if you want to write your own passionate pieces for the show, get in touch and keep feeling fascination, never succumb to the powers that be.
Hello, Marge Simpson here, and I'd just like to again say thank you for watching, and if you'd like to support and or be involved with the channel, please get involved. We'll be launching a Patreon soon, and all the money from that will go directly back into the channel, so please support if you can.